A Friday night dinner, I think I would spend $150 without like breaking a sweat. Would I do that like weekly? Maybe not, but like,
Without breaking a sweat, you would do that?
yes.
Sorry, not the time.
Yes.
Hey y'all, I'm Reema Khrais and I host the Marketplace podcast. This is Uncomfortable, and welcome to our video series where I ask people uncomfortable money questions. Our guest today is Casey Johnston. She is editorial director at Vice, focused on health and wellness, and she also writes a column known as Ask a Swole Woman. Thanks for coming on, Casey.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. I actually just worked out, so
nice.
An activity right up my alley always makes me feel like I got it done for the day. That's more my vibe right now. It's not like I'm like accomplished and I can like conquer the world. I'm just like, okay,
great feeling.
Move on with my day.
Do you feel like you've integrated working out in your workday, like since we've been working from home?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I worked at home for like 10 years before this, like my entire career.
You've like gotten this down. Okay. So
yeah. So when I started doing this job, it was like going into the office really for the first time ever, like daily. And I was like, low key, this is awful. But once the pandemic started, I was like, okay, this is my comfort zone.
Okay. So I'm going to start asking you uncomfortable money questions. I'm going to just jump right into it. Are you feeling good? Are you ready? Okay. Yep. All right. So my first question for you is, can you tell me about one of the pettiest money fights you've ever been in?
Wow. The thing that's leaping to mind is like the sort of boundaries around paying for stuff with my mom. And like, it's not like now I'm in a position where I'm like, I'll pay for everything. Like, absolutely don't worry about it. But like when I was younger and more broke and like we would do certain things, it wasn't quite as clear. Like if she, for instance, I was coming to visit home, she bought like a bottle of wine for me to like drink at our family holiday dinner or whatever, and then would like, I don't know, ask me to pay her back, and I would be like, I I don't know about that. I think I would pay her. What was that?
She would ask you to split things.
I think she would have like a expectation, like certain expectations. Like I'm not saying she was totally wrong or like I was totally right, but like I think I have maybe the most like the balance of power has shifted the most from like over across time between me and my parent. So that's been like the most one of the more like kind of evaluating situations. I would say it's not anymore. But it's been interesting to sort of, you leave the nest and things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel that though. I remember in my 20s too. It's hard not to go back home and not revert back to your childhood self almost, and like play into that dynamic a little. And so it sounds like you've moved past that now, but that's very real. It's very relatable. It's like you go back to that sort of place and time. Okay. So my next question for you, are you more of a spender or a saver?
I think I'm more like instinctually of a spender. I'm like born of the tradition of like, you have money. What else are you going to do with money except like money is made like it's meant to like be in the ecosystem, sort of like you have it, you spend it.
Yeah.
And I've really tried to become more of a saver as life has gone on. And I think I've gotten better at it, but I've also gotten better at it just because like I have more money and it's easier to save when you have more money. And that's like, I've come to really resent those like earlier days of, a lot of, there's so much advice out there for people of like, you cut out the daily lattes and downsize your apartment, or like one of my favorite money saving tricks was like pay a year of rent up front to get your landlord to give you a discount. And it's like these are tips for like I feel like I'm rubbing two nickels together
what?
And I don't have, and it's like even if I save, it's like I have what, like I save for a year, I have a couple $100 more, and it's like, that's not really that meaningful, like when you're working with really tiny margins.
Yeah.
So I think I've developed into more of a saver, and I'm very proud of that. But also, I have a hard time being really hard on myself about the place from which I came, because it's just like, I think it's just actually so hard to save money when, like, your rent is half your income, or certain circumstances. And we have a lot of like pick yourself up by your bootstraps attitude about personal finance. And I'm like, it's not always that simple, I don't think.
No, it is not. Do you talk openly at all about your finances with anyone in your life?
I have a boyfriend who like, knows how much money I make and that kind of stuff. I would say not really, mostly because like no one's asked me in a while. For one time, I remember a bunch of my friends who worked in media, we were like, let's make a spreadsheet of all of our salaries and all the salaries of people that we know.
Yeah.
And it was very illuminating. I was like, I don't make any money. Like, and some people who, like, no offense, I think don't have as many responsibilities as I do, are like making more money than me. So that was very illuminating.
Was it within the organization, or you mean like in the?
It was like all over different media companies.
Has there been a moment, I mean, it sounds like this was one, when you realized that you weren't getting paid what you feel like you deserve to get paid? And is there anything that you did about that?
That spreadsheet moment was a big one. I don't think I did anything like immediately reactively to that, but I think I probably just developed some resentment about that job at the time. And then when it came time to sort of like, the company was like making a transition, let's say that, and I was kind of like, actually, I would like more responsibility and more compensation to go along with that. And I think I deserve that based on what I've done so far and what I think that I can do. And they were like, it was a good company. And they were just like, yes, basically. I think all of my salary history had, up until that point, had been sort of like, whatever people will give me, like, I feel so lucky to get it. And I never really thought about negotiating that much. I would maybe do like a very standard, I don't know, 10% from what people would give me as their number. But
it sounds like the spreadsheet moment helped you negotiate later, or like, realize that you should be earning.
Yes, totally. I think so.
Yeah, I know what you mean. First few jobs, I also didn't negotiate. And I mean, especially when you're young in your early 20s, you're just grateful for anything. I'm like,
I know. I mean, I think it's
fathom. So
it's another thing that it's another thing that I feel hard to. I don't feel like I can be too hard on myself about, because it is just something that you have to like learn. Like, I'm sure some people enter the workforce and their parents gave them lots of confidence, and they were like, I know my worth, and I'm gonna like go out and get it. And it's like, I didn't come from that background, so like I had to, learn the context in a trial and error way, and that's like, it's fine.
Right. I think the bottom line is just that it's important to talk about it among your industry.
Totally.
Great for everyone. Thinking about how you spend your money, what is something expensive that you own that feels worth the price tag?
For that, my like one answer would be, I bought like a gym setup to put we have like a patio, because we live way out in Bed-Stuy. So we have like a little yard, and I was like, before that I had been lifting in a gym. Obviously the gym closed, so I was doing like at-home workouts, and I was like, I hate this is terrible body weight stuff. It's just like tedious. A lot of single leg and arm stuff, so everything takes twice as long. So I was like, I really miss my weights, so I took the plunge. I was really scared because there's nowhere to put it inside. So putting this stuff outside is like a little bit off book. I couldn't find any good information about keeping weights outside. Like it's a lot of metal, it can rust easily.
That's true.
I think if you get the wrong stuff or you're not careful. So I was very nervous, and I was very nervous to like even like I do a lot of Instagram. I was nervous to like even post about it because I was worried people were going to be like, you're so dumb to like put a bunch like hundreds of dollars of metal plate. Like it's expensive. It's not as expensive as I think I've seen people say. Like it ended up being economically worth it. The gym that I went to was expensive.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe that's the cost.
But I was very worried people were but then it worked out. I mean, like I keep the whole thing under a tarp, and after a few months I got a like a sort of party tent at the recommendation of a few other people who followed me. I was very worried that was also gonna be a disaster and like blow away in a windstorm. But it hasn't yet.
Right.
And it has all worked out really beautifully. Like everything is still in really good condition.
Do you use it every day?
Oh, not every day. Like
Yeah.
I work out probably 3 days a week on average. I use that stuff. So yeah.
That's great. That's a worthwhile investment.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most you're willing to spend on dinner if you're going out?
I like to go out to eat. That's like one of my things. Yeah. I would say that like I don't spend that much money on. I'm maybe weird to justify this, but I don't spend that much money on clothes or shoes or like house stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, or like kind of vacations even. And like, what else do people spend money on?
Yeah, no, I feel that same. I think we're the same. I like to spend on food.
Going out to dinner is like, oh, I mean, like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about like a normal, like a Friday night date?
Let's do a Friday night dinner and like a special occasion dinner.
Okay. A Friday night dinner. I think I would spend $150 without like breaking a sweat. Would I do that like weekly? Maybe not, but like
without breaking a sweat, you would do that?
Yes.
Sorry, not the time. Yes. If you and your boyfriend, for example.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, you know, you get a couple appetizers, couple mains, dessert, bottle of
you're
wine.
Just like you're like, we're here, we're into it. Yeah.
Yeah. That gets you to 150, especially in New York.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. Like I'm like, you know, it's one of the things I like to do. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Maybe like twice that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's your birthday.
Wow, this is inspiring me to spend. I just feel like I spend money in the wrong ways when it comes to food. Like I do delivery a lot and I eat out a lot, but I go to the same places and I end up spending more than I should probably at those places. Whereas I want to eat less at those places. And then to your point, like have nice dinners where we like get appetizers, we get dessert. It's a whole experience.
Right. Yes. I think I mean, I get a lot. I love living in New York because of all of the restaurants. I really missed that. But I loved I love to get a fancy dinner.
Yeah.
And I've said so many times, like, I miss it so much, but like, I also like, I would say play it pretty, like, I know a lot of people, here's another like thing, I guess I don't spend money on. Like I make my like overnight oat breakfast. Almost all of the time it's like super cheap. Like I think I know some people who would like buy the little like pre-made containers, or like they buy a lot of pre-made food that they maybe like put together. I do a lot of like I have a lot of holdover sort of cooking habits and like food habits, maybe from when I had less money.
Yeah.
Like cooking a lot of beans and like stuff like that, you know, like I got really into cooking when I had less money, because I didn't have that much flexibility. I didn't eat out that much then. But I still wanted to eat well. So like I learned a lot about cooking, and I think I do a lot of stuff from scratch that I think I could just like, you know, buy, not that I make pizza, but like in the case of like making your own pizza versus like buying a frozen pizza.
Right.
I was more of the like
just make it
from scratch person. I don't really do that a ton anymore. But I think it sort of balances out. Hopefully this makes me feel more sane, balances out the overall food costs.
For sure. Another question for you. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of money advice, what would it be?
I mean, it's hard even to be like, ask for more money. I don't know. It's like, you know, in situations where we're talking about giving yourself past advice, it's like there's a lot of advice I could have given myself, and even that people were giving me at the time, not in just in the specific respect of money, but like I wouldn't have or didn't listen because I was not like equipped to receive that information.
Yeah, 100%. I know what you mean.
So we don't have to set the burden like what would I have actually listened to. But oh man, a big one would be like, I don't even know if people have these anymore, but like store credit cards, like don't get them. Like I don't even know. I don't think I ever had like an Old Navy one, but I had a couple, maybe like a Victoria's Secret one. And they just like haunted me. It's like, don't get them. And now we have like I don't want to neg anything that like just in my personal opinion, these are a bad idea. Like Affirm and Klarna and these like, I think they basically work like store credit cards, where they break everything into payments. And I'm just like, if you don't have the money to buy the thing on you, I know this is like very normal advice, but just like, don't do debt that's like through a retailer, I guess. Like debt in general is bad, but that was a particular one where I feel like I paid a lot of money, didn't get out of it what I would have liked to for the amount of money that it ended up being. And I think, and that boils a bit down to like learning new ways of like acquiring stuff. Like I think I would be like, I don't know about underwear specifically if we're talking about Victoria's Secret, but like you don't have to like be part of the rat race of like buying new clothes or like all new things. Like even like I've learned rich people have much better habits around this, like buying used stuff and like selling the stuff that they have. Like they have a whole, when we're talking about like not billionaires, but like sort of mid-tier rich people get by a lot on sort of like resale, both selling their stuff and like acquiring new stuff. And I've like tried to get more on that page. And like it's sort of working in like investment piece mindset kind of.
Going back to what we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's solid advice.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been really great. I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but it's just been like nice to chat and get to know you.
Yeah, totally.
Hopefully you didn't
I didn't get to ask you any questions. I should have.
Okay, that'll be for next time. Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this video series with us.
Yeah, thanks.